All right, I got a guy who's bought his first rental property. Booyah! I am super psyched for you, man. Hey, I'm glad you're not stuck in analysis paralysis. You hit me up that you are getting ready to buy your second property and you're wanting better control of how to run numbers and figure it all out. And so I'm going to show you that. I'm going to go through 4 or 5 different exit strategies, but we're going to psychoanalyze your first deal, and I'm going to beat you up a little bit. I'm sorry. But you got tough skin, I'm pretty sure. So we're going to go through the numbers. We're going to run them. We're going to figure out how to do it. And you're going to make money no matter what on the deal. So I don't feel too bad for you. But we'll run the numbers. We'll figure it all out, and we'll do it right now. All right. So we've got 4 strategies we're going to go over. We're going to run some numbers. We're going to show you everything that goes on. And which one do you think is going to be the most profitable? Are you ready? I am. All right. So before we get started, let's talk about 2 key point indicators that we really need to be worried about whenever you're dealing with a rental property. The first one is cap rate. This is your capitalization rate. This is basically your return on investment each year that you're going to get from this property. And this number can change, based off of whatever it is that you want to figure in for the year. But so basically this number is based off of your net operating income, which is net operating income is you got your gross rents, $10,000 a year in gross rents, and then you subtract out whatever your operating costs are. So your $6,000 in operating costs, you got $4,000 left over. That's your net operating income, your NOI, right? So to figure cap rate out, what you do is you take your NOI and you divide it by the entire deal, how much money you've got into the entire deal. So if you've got a $10,000 net operating income after all expenses are taken out, you get $10,000 left. You divide that by, you've got $100,000 into the deal. So $10,000 net operating income divided by $100,000 of your all-in is 10%. And that's what your return is, your cap rate, your capitalization rate. All right. Now, number 2 is what we call the cash on cash return. Now, this number is if you've got a loan on a property, right? So if you've got a loan on the property, then a lot of times, you'll have a lot less money into the deal than if you just paid all cash for it, right? So this number can change. So your cap rate could be one number and your cash on cash return could be a different number. Now, the cash on cash return could be better or it could be worse. So you need to run that number so you can see, do I want to get a loan or do I not want to get a loan, right? So we're going to go through that, right? So, and cash on cash return is basically figured the same way. So let's say you bought a $1 million house and the bank loaned you $900,000 on it, and then you rented it out and you made $10,000 net operating income, right? So you made $10,000. You've only got $100,000 into this $1 million house. It is a 10% return, right? So now that could change, if it was a $100,000 house and you only got $10,000 in it and you make whatever, $1,000, then again, 10%. Or it could change if you got $2,000, then you'd make a 20% return, right? I don't know. We'll have to run the numbers. All right, so let's run some numbers here and let's go through it. All right, so we're going to do option 1. Option 1 is if you're all in for cash on the deal, right? So you bought the house, you rehabbed the house, and you rented it out. You didn't refinance, you didn't do anything else. You just bought it, paid cash, rehabbed it, paid cash, and then rented it out. What kind of return are you going to get, all right? So I'm going to go through some of this stuff initially, a little longer, but we're going to use these numbers later on for the other strategy so we know exactly what we're up against, all right? Now, so if you look up here, well, other way, I got to figure it out. If you look up there, you'll see that our investor has informed us that he's got an appraisal done on the property and it's $81,000, okay? So it's worth $81,000 fixed up. We call that after repaired value, ARV, okay? So it's worth ARV of $81,000. He bought it for $49,470, right? We're going to say he bought it for $50,000 for our example. He put rehab into it of $7,000. So he's got $57,000 into this house, right? He thinks that the house will rent for $750, $800. I'm going to give him a little bit of kudos and say it's $800, all right? Okay, so now here's where we're at. Our rent is $800 a month or $9,600 a year. That's our gross income, right? Our gross operating income. Now, these are some assumptions that we need to make, right? So the first one is a vacancy credit loss. And vacancy is basically when one tenant moves out and another tenant moves in, what's that time frame between that, the one moving out and the new one moving in. So typically I would say you should figure about 1 month a year, right? And 1 month of a year is 8% of that year, right? 1 divided by 12 is 0.8 or 0.08, 8%. So we're going to figure this out, and we're going to say that 1 month out of a year is the house is vacant and empty. Now, you may get a tenant who stays forever, and then that might change this number, but I would always figure that you're going to have about an 8% vacancy, especially on a single family. Now, if you were doing multifamilies, that's a higher number, 12 to 16%, at least in Indiana. So, all right, so we got an 8% vacancy rate. So we're figuring that out. And then basically what that is 8% of our gross operating income goes towards our vacancy rate. Okay. Now, the next one is average maintenance and repairs. Now, in Indiana, Midwest, low-income houses, which is what this is, I'm going to figure 10% of my gross income is going towards repairs and stuff like that. Because we're talking $9,600 a year gross income, so $960 of it I'm declaring is going to go towards repairs. And that will probably get eaten up pretty quickly each year. Now, when you first buy a property, I'm going to say you need to figure above and beyond that probably $3,000, $4,000 because there's going to be a lot of deferred maintenances. The previous owner's not going to want to have fixed anything when he was selling the house, right? So that first year, I would say you need to figure another $3,000 or $4,000 on top of this 10%, okay? But that's just neither here nor there, just for your information, okay? All right, now accounting and legal, 3%. Now, when you're only talking one rental, 3% is probably going to cover you. You're going to have to hire a tax guy. So, we're only talking $288 here, right? You can have the same tax guy do your tax for the rest of the stuff, and you could figure that out, another $100 to $200 for your own personal stuff, and then tack on an extra $288 for the property dealing with it, right? Now, this number will go lower the more properties you get, but I always try and figure it in. Then the next one here is 10% for property management. Now, you may say, now, Lee, I'm just going to self-manage. I'm not going to have that cost. But I'm going to tell you what, when you go to sell this house, the guy who's buying it from you probably is going to have a property manager, and so he's going to add this cost into his business, right? Or his analyzing the deal. So you want to figure 10%. Now, you could say, I'm going to get that money, that 10% is going to go to me, but ultimately you need to be charging for it, or figuring it into your number. So that's an extra 10%. So total, these numbers here is about 31% of your gross income. Your gross rents are going towards this number. Now, on top of that, we need to add in taxes, and we need to add in insurance. Taxes in Indiana are capped at like 2%. It could actually be a little bit more than that, but we're going to figure 2%. Now, he said that the house is appraised at $81,000, so we're going to use that as our number. Now, maybe for the first 1 or 2 years, he may not get hit for the full 2% of $81,000, but let's figure it in because at some point in time, the city's going to get caught up, right? Or we hope not, but they will. So $81,000, it's roughly $1,600 a year in taxes. 2% of 81,000 is $1,600. So $1,600 for taxes. Property insurance, you can get them anywhere from $500 to $600 a year. And you're not covering belongings, you're only covering the property itself. And that's another discussion whether you want cash value or, replacement value. But so we're just going to say it's about $600 a year we're going to pay on insurance, okay? So figuring in these numbers up here and figuring in our taxes and figuring in our insurance, we're looking at about $5,176 of our gross rents going towards operating costs, right? So total operating expenses are $5,176. That's a big chunk of your $9,600 that you had up here, right? Now, so that means that if we take out the $9,600 minus the $5,176, we're left with $4,424.04. $368.67 per month is what we're making net operating income. That's our NOI, right? So remember earlier we were talking about $4,424.04 is our net operating income. Net operating income divided by how much money we got in the deal. So we got $50,000 and $7,000 in repairs. See that over here? So we take $4,424.04 divided by $57,000 right here. And that gives us a 7.76% return, our cap rate. Is that good? Is that bad? That's up to you. You tell me what you think is a good investment or not, right? All right, so that's if you're all cash into the deal. You're all into this thing for cash and you're just renting it out. You bought it, you rehabbed it, now you're renting it. What is your return? You're at 7.76% return, right? All right. All right, let's do option 2. Brrr. We're buying it, we're rehabbing it, we're renting it out, we're refinancing. Hopefully we're getting all of our money back out of the deal, or almost all of our money back out of the deal, and then we repeat that whole process. So we buy another one, we rehab it, we rent it out, we get it refinanced, and we repeat it again. So you can do this to your heart's content. Now you got to be careful, because a lot of guys got into trouble in 2007 because they over-leveraged themselves, right? So you just got to watch your numbers, and your risk tolerances are going to change. Either higher or lower, and you just need to base it on that sort of stuff. And always keep in mind, worst case scenarios, right? All right. So now we're going to talk BRRRR, right? You're going to refinance this property. All right. So basically the numbers are going to still be the same. $800 a month, $1,600 in taxes, $600 in insurance. We're still at 31% of our operating costs going towards vacancy and maintenance and, property management, blah, 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 right? Okay. Now, the property was appraised at $81,000, right? All right. Most banks will loan 70% of that, right? Now, some banks will do different terms, 75%, 60%, something like that. But we're just going to run with 70%. So $81,000, he gets a 70% loan on this property, right? So basically he's getting $56,700 from the bank, right? He's putting up the rest of the funds, but they're paying $56,700. Woohoo! He's negative. He's got no money in it, right? It's infinite return, right? Any money you make above and beyond what you got in the deal, that's free money. Now, let's run these numbers and see if this makes it a great deal or not, okay? So, $56,700. Now, most lenders are going to do a 20-year loan on an investment property, and it's probably going to be about 5.5% return, right? So 20 years, 5.5% interest, right? So what's our mortgage payment end up being? $390.03 a month for 20 years. But wait, Lee, what was our cash flow? Oh, it's $368.67. That means that we are negative $21.36. You follow me on this, folks? So we got our mortgage, we got all our money back out, but our costs are what our costs are. So by the end of it, these assumptions, that's pretty good. I wouldn't play with those numbers, folks. Some people will try and, I'm going to massage this deal. I'm going to get in there and dig my fingers in, and I can trim off 2% here and 3% there and 6% there. I'm telling you guys, when you're analyzing the deal, don't massage the deal. You're going to kill yourself. So these numbers, taxes, you're not going to do anything about taxes. Insurance, you're not going to do anything about insurance. So we're negative on a BRRRR, right? It means our cash-on-cash return is negative 1.05%. You with me? Is that a good deal? Do you want to do a BRRRR on this deal? I don't. All right, now we're getting into the creative stuff. Now, guys, I'm going to tell you right now, 3 and 4 are a lot more creative. And you need to, there could be some changes here or there on how to do this sort of stuff. This is these are advanced strategies, right? So you really need to make sure you're talking to somebody other than me. Make sure you got your ducks in a row. Anytime you're doing any investments in real estate, I would say that you need to do your due diligence. So, all right, so we're going to go to option 3. Ready? Option 3. We are going to seller finance this bad boy, right? Now, what we're going to do here, there's some positives and some negatives here. We're going to basically find an owner-occupant who wants to buy the house, live in the house until they pay it off. You're going to be the bank, right? You as the investor, okay? Now, here's the positives. You get a long-term tenant. You can potentially get a long-term tenant. They're going to stay 15 years, right? Your costs go down. You don't have to pay for... Theoretically, you don't have to pay for repairs, and you don't have to pay for property management, and you don't have to pay for, some other stuff like this. But so your costs are going to come down, okay? Like I said, they pay for repairs. We're going to try and get these owner-occupants to pay for repairs so we can take that off our plate. Now, you can also get them to pay a premium because most likely they can't get financing on their own. They can't go to the bank and get a loan. They've got bad credit, whatever. So we're going to work with them and we're going to finance the deal, right? So they pay a premium for that. They're going to pay a little bit more than what they would if they went to the bank, right? Okay. The other thing is generally what they'll do is they'll put down, when I do an owner finance deal, I have them put down like $3,000, okay? So they're going to put down a down payment on the house, right? And that, in my world, it's non-refundable, right? And again, this is an advanced strategy, so you really need to know your ins and outs and dot your I's and cross your T's. But in my world, it's a non-refundable down payment. So they'll put like $3,000 down on the front side, and then if 2-3 years they decide they're going to leave, they don't get any of that back, right? All right. Negatives. All right, here's some of the negatives. They could walk midterm. We just talked about that, right? 2 or 3 years down. Usually most owner-occupants, 3 years. If they make it past 3 years, they're probably going to stay. If most of them cancel out 1 to 3 years. They're just like, I've decided I don't want to stay, or they have a hardship and they have to leave, or, whatever. There's just a million reasons. So they could walk midterm. And then what could happen is, I've had this happen, they trash the house out on the way out. You evict them or you foreclose on them. They trash the place on the way out. Then you got to take that $3,000 you got initially and whatever else profits you got to put it into rehab in the house to get it ready for the next one. I mean, there's other strategies you could do, sell it as is, blah, blah, blah. But that's basically what you could run into, is they could trash it out and you could have to do some repairs and rehabs, right? All right. Now, let's run the numbers. Ready? All right. So, let's say we sell this house for $80,000, okay? And they put $3,000 down, okay? So, we got $77,000 is their mortgage payment. We're going to space it at 8% per year, and we're going to do it over 15 years. Now, a couple caveats here. One, Dodd-Frank, federal regulation, says that you as an investor can sell to an owner-occupant or a consumer one deal a year where you don't have to have a loan originator or a loan underwriter involved in the process. So you can do one deal a year. So you're going to do one of these this year. All right. So then the other thing I was going to say was, why am I doing 15 years? All right. If I did a 30-year loan, it would definitely bring their payment down. But the problem is they're not going to have equity for 5 or 10 or 15 years, right? And what I prefer to do to make it a win-win situation with an owner-occupant is I prefer to put it on a 15-year note. They'll pay it off in 10 or 15 years. Because that way, when they get to the 2 or 3 year mark, I can say, and they're like, I think I'm going to leave, I'm out of here. I'm going to say, look, you only got 12 years left in this. Why don't you stick around and you'll own this house in 12 years, right? You don't have to go out and rent another house and start all over or whatever. 12 years, you'll own this bad boy, right? Now, that doesn't mean that they stick around. A lot of times they'll just be like, when they're already made the decision, they're out, right? But sometimes you can persuade them to stick around. I mean, it's in their best interest a lot of times. But, people do stuff that's bad for them all the time, right? All right. So I stick it at 15 years at 8% interest. Now, we're going to throw in, the property taxes, $1,600 a year, right? And we're going to show in the insurance, right? So this is going to make sure that their mortgage payment pays for principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. You got it? All right. So this covers some of our expenses, but it makes the monthly payment $9.19 a month, right? Remember I told you earlier that they're going to pay a premium for this ability to buy a house, right? So this is the premium. They're going to pay an extra $120 to $150 a month for the to buy it in 15 years, okay? All right, so let's run back to our cash flow analysis and see how it works out. Now, I'm going to put it at $950, right? And again, what this will happen to do is this will increase our numbers, right? But it'll also help them pay it off a little bit quicker, right? All right, so $950 a month. Now, we already included in that $950 the taxes and insurance, so I can drop those off my formula. You with me? And now over here, the other assumptions, they're going to make the repairs, and they're going to, you won't have any property management, right? Now, I did put in a vacancy credit loss because, like I say, a lot of times they will leave within the first 3 years. So I took our original 8%, right, that we had for vacancy credit loss, and I just divided it by 3 for 3 years. So now we're roughly at 3%. That's what I put it in there. It's 3%. which is not a lot of money, $342, right? All right, so they're paying $950 a month, $11,400 a year. So their total operating expenses $342. That's basically the vacancy loss, and then that means that your net operating income is $921.50. Okay, so I'm gonna change things up a little bit. We've got a kind of an interesting conundrum here in the financing situation. So if we sell this house on terms to an end buyer for 15 years, we need to be real careful about our underlying loan, the loan we got from the bank, because originally we were doing a 20-year at 5.5% interest. What we don't want to happen is that our end buyer, the person we're selling to, gets 15 years out and makes their final payment, and we've still got 5 years left on our note. Now, it could be that at the end of that 15 years, I'm okay with just paying off that 5-year note. But that's probably not a smart thing to do. So what you want to do is you probably want to rearrange this note here to, instead of a 20-year at 5.5% interest, you want to do a 15-year at 5.5% interest. That way, when your tenant buyer pays it off, you're paid off, right? You don't have to pay any more money to the bank, right? Don't get yourself in trouble. Just go this route. So, all right, so we're going to change our underlying financing to 15 years and 5.5% interest. So basically just knocking 5 years off of our loan. Now, so we still got our net operating income, $921.50 a month, or $11,058 a year. So now our mortgage payment is $463.29. So that means that our cash flow is $458 a month. Now, what does this do for our cash-on-cash return? 22.63%. Is that good? That's pretty nice. Pretty nice. All right, on to number 4, the last strategy. You guys ready? I think we're already doing pretty good at 26% return, right? All right, so let's see this. Option number 4 is if we flip this deal. But Lee, it's a low-income property. We're not going to make any money flipping it. Let's run the numbers and see, all right? Okay, so what we've got here, this is I'm going to cheat sheet a little bit here. I'm going to show you guys. This is a form I use when I'm calculating out a flip, right? I'm doing a flip deal. Now, because it's low income, I can't run the same numbers that I normally would. So we're going to play around with it a little bit, and we're going to do some stuff. Now, so here's what we're going to do. So we already know that we got $57,000 into repairs, right? You follow me? $57,000 into bought it and rehabbed it. $57,000, okay? Now, when you're selling a house, most first-time home buyers or low-income buyers are going to require you to pay up to $3,000 of their closing costs, okay? They're getting a loan, and the loan company is saying that they can get up to $3,000 of their closing costs paid for. So you're going to have to pay for that, right? Won't get into the moral or ethical things here, or how bad of a deal that is, or blah, blah, blah. I mean, I get it. I understand. I'm with you. But that's what's going to happen. They're going to hit you up for another $3,000 of closing costs. So we're going to add that in. So basically, we're going to have $60,000 in our repair estimate, or, we'll buy it, rehab it, and then we got to put these $3,000 in buyer's closing costs on the deal, okay? All right. So our ARV is $80,000, right? All right, so let's run the calculator here. Hold on. $81,000. We're going to subtract $60,000 in the purchase price, the rehab, and the seller's closing costs, right? We're going to have, I'm going to come up here for a second. I'm going to do 3 months. So let's say it's going to take you probably 3 to 6 months to do this deal, right? Because it's going to take a little bit of time to find an end buyer that can buy it. So we're going to put in a time frame of like 3 months plus 3 months in rehab, or 6 months total. Okay, so let's pull up here. So we're at 21,000. So we 81,000 minus the 60,000 is 21,000. We could change that to 0. All right, now holding costs. Most likely you want to pay yourself for that money that you're using, right? You want to give yourself a return of the money you're using, or you're paying someone to get the money to do this buy and the rehab and stuff, okay? So I'm going to figure that out. You can just track it like a normal loan, and I'm going to track it out and say that it's $1,344.24. Do you follow me? So that's just another cost. You're paying yourself or you're paying somebody else for the money while you do the repairs and until you get it sold and closed, okay? All right, now, now we're down to 19,655, 70, or 76, yep. Now, here's another cost that you're going to have to pay. Closing costs when you go to sell it. So you're looking at about 8% of your ARV, your after repair value of $81,000. 8% of that is going to go towards closing costs. That's realtor fees. Realtors are going to charge you probably about 6%. 3% for the buyer's agent, 3% for the seller's agent. So you got to pay 6% to a realtor. And then you're going to pay another 2% in other closing costs, like owner's title policy, wire fees, lawyer review, blah, blah, blah. That's going to cost you another 2%. So basically, we're looking at about $6,480. All right, so we're going to subtract $6,480 from our number, right? So that means that our net is $13,175.76. You follow me here? That means that we just walked away from this deal with about $13,000 worth of profit. Now, what kind of return is that, right? So remember earlier we figured out our cap rate on this deal? Well, now we can look at an actual return on investment. So this is 13,175.76, and we divide it by our initial 57,000 we've got in the deal. 23% return. 6 months of our time, 23% return. Pretty good return, right? You with me? So this is a fast one. You're out of it in 6 months, 23% return. That's good money. Okay, that's all 4 strategies. Did you pick the right one? Did you pick a loser? I think you probably did. It's all right, though. Everybody messes up. I can't tell you how many times I hear this story. But anyways, you are now getting edumacated. You are edumacated. So let's see here. Let's go recap all this stuff, all right? So first one, you buy it and you rent it. Paid cash, rented it out. What's the return on that one? 7.76%, right? Is that good? Is that bad? Depends on your strategy. All right, what's the next one? This is the BRRRR strategy. Bought it, you rehabbed it, you rented it out, you refinance that bad boy, and then you repeat the process. Is this a good BRRRR strategy? Yeah, that's a big fat no. Negative 1.05%. Now, you could massage numbers any way you want, but I don't think you need to be massaging. You need to be making sure you got winners, not losers. Wieners, not losers. All right, what's our other one? Number 3. That's the big daddy right here, right? I think that's probably our better one. Maybe no. I think actually the last one is. But anyways, let's talk about it. So this one was the one you buy it, you sell it on, you buy it, you rehab it, you sell it on owner financing, right? And you still get a loan on it. Changed it up 15 years instead of 20. Ran our numbers. 22.63% return. That's pretty dang good, kids. Pretty dang good. And lastly, we're going to go to the last one. That was our, we don't even really need the run numbers. 23% return on if you just do a flip on it. So you buy it, rehab it, sell it. 23% return. That's end buyer, though. So anyway, so which one's your favorite? I'm telling you what. I bet you when you went into this, you thought one was going to be better than the others, and it probably wasn't. So anyway, so now you know. You're learned. So anyways, if you have any questions, comments, please leave them below. Happy to answer anything I can. I am not perfect, so I may have I've rewritten this thing 2 or 3 times. But anyways, also check out some of my other videos. We've got a lot of stuff before and after. We're going to do some of those, and we've got a lot of other cash flow analysis. So, all right, guys. Thank you. I'm out of here. Bye.